You are tuned in to the LowBand Show, broadcasting from the storm drains under the big city, where a tunnel crew runs this booth on salvaged gear, pipes humming, steady water dripping, piping surface science and tech news on a low-band signal through the drains. I'm your host, Max Hertz. Welcome in. Here's what we do. We take real science and tech news from the surface, summarize it, then go deeper to educate, entertain, and shed light on what's in store for our collective future. News from the net, clear signal, and a little tunnel. If you came for hype, you took a wrong turn at the storm drain. Welcome in, underground and on the air. I'm Max Hertz, bringing you the latest from the surface. Wiz, good to have you in the booth today.
Glad to be back, Max. Ready when you are.
Today, we're tracking the ripple effects of an AI stock sell-off and dissecting a claim about Microsoft's quantum computing. We also look at OpenAI's benchmarks for AI in life sciences. Later, Midjourney is making a surprising pivot into medical tech, and Canonical is developing a new way to interact with Ubuntu using AI. Let's get into it. Here's the breakdown. Global markets were shaken on Tuesday, June 23, 2026, as attention shifted to the future of AI companies and chip makers that have driven recent market highs. Wiz, what's happening?
The headline is directionally correct. We're seeing a tech sell-off that closed the NASDAQ index 2.2% lower on Tuesday, with the S&P 500 also down 1.43%.
Right. But some economists warn this influx of AI spending is a bubble reminiscent of the dot-com era. 7 tech companies now make up 30% of the S&P 500's value. Wiz, for listeners who may not know, what exactly is the NASDAQ?
The NASDAQ is a stock market index heavily weighted toward technology companies. This concentration of value, coupled with signals that the Federal Reserve may increase interest rates to tackle rising inflation, has heightened investor concerns about a potential burst.
And the sell-off has spread beyond the U.S. Alphabet fell 5% on Monday. SpaceX plunged 16%. In Asia, South Korea's benchmark dropped 10% as SK Hynix and Samsung each lost over 12%. And Japan's Nikkei 225 declined 3.5%.
That spread indicates a broader market reaction to the same underlying concerns. The impact on major chip makers and tech giants in Asia confirms the global interconnectedness of this specific industry's performance.
Wiz, you mentioned signals from the Federal Reserve regarding interest rates. For listeners who might not be familiar, what is the Federal Reserve's role in this context?
The Federal Reserve is the central bank of the United States. Its role here is to manage monetary policy, including setting interest rates, which directly influences the cost of borrowing and can cool down an overheating economy and inflation, impacting stock valuations.
The future impact of this AI stock sell-off remains to be seen. We'll continue to track developments. The headline promises a lot, but let's see what the paper actually says. A peer-reviewed Nature critique released June 24, 2026, argues that Microsoft's 2025 Midjourney quantum computing breakthrough is fundamentally flawed. Dr. Henry Legg from the University of St. Andrews claims it's undermined by omitted data, selective plotting, and basic Python errors. Wiz, what do we make of this?
Well, it sounds like Microsoft's quantum leap might be more of a quantum stumble. Claiming years instead of decades for a topological quantum supercomputer is a bold statement, and if the foundational research is shaky, that timeline shifts considerably.
The critique states that Microsoft's proposed topological gap protocol, or TGP, is meant to detect the phase transition prerequisite for quantum calculations using Midjourney particles. Legg's analysis suggests the prerequisites for these claims do not appear to be met. Wiz, for listeners who may not be familiar, what exactly is a Midjourney particle, and why is it so crucial for this kind of quantum computing?
A Majorana particle is a hypothetical fermion that is its own antiparticle, highly sought after in quantum computing because it could form the basis of extremely stable topological qubits. Their unique properties are thought to protect quantum information from environmental interference, making them central to Microsoft's ambitions. Legg's critique suggests the evidence for finding and controlling these elusive particles isn't holding up to scrutiny.
Legg argues that Microsoft's topological gap protocol focused only on results that supported its thesis. He noted that the TGP plotting code was set to highlight only the largest, purportedly topological region. He added, and I quote, "When peer reviewers asked if other regions existed, Microsoft inaccurately stated that they had investigated the only region passing the protocol within the explored range. This was not correct."
That's a rather significant omission. It suggests a selective presentation of data, which is less than ideal for scientific rigor. If the plotting code was hard-coded to only show the best result, it's not just a minor bug. It's a potential misrepresentation of the entire dataset. Seems their quantum leap was more of a blind jump in the dark.
While Microsoft maintains the bugs were minor, the full impact on their original claims remains uncertain. We'll continue to watch for further developments. OpenAI reported on June 17, 2026, about their new benchmarks for AI life sciences research. It's a fascinating look at where AI stands and where it falls short. Wiz, what's the big picture here?
The big picture is a reality check, Max. OpenAI's 750-task test, designed to measure realistic life science research, shows their best model, GPT-Rosalind, only passed 36.1% of tasks. That means it failed nearly 2/3, clearly delineating current AI capabilities.
That performance drop reveals a familiar weakness. AI systems perform much better with text-only tasks, but with supporting documents, figures, or complex datasets, performance drops noticeably. GPT-Rosalind's pass rate, for example, fell from 45.1% on text tasks to 28.1% on tasks involving artifacts or URLs. For listeners who may not know, what exactly is this Life SciBench?
Life SciBench is a specialized test designed to evaluate AI's ability to handle complex, realistic tasks in life sciences, not just simple queries. The performance drop with non-text data is significant. It highlights that understanding for an LLM is still fundamentally linked to how easily it can parse information in a textual format. Real-world science isn't always neatly text formatted.
Now, to be fair, this benchmark isn't meant to suggest AI is useless. OpenAI found that models are increasingly capable of scientific communication, synthesizing evidence, and translating research findings into practical explanations.
Those are indeed valuable skills, especially for researchers inundated with data. AI can accelerate information processing and communication, but the key here is assist. It's enhancing human workflow, not replacing the core analytical engine.
The path toward truly autonomous AI in this field remains complex, with significant challenges still to be addressed. We'll continue to track these developments. This one made me sit up. The AI image generation company Midjourney is making a significant pivot. The Register reported on June 18, 2026, about their plans for a medical imaging business that could profoundly impact healthcare. Wiz, what's behind this shift?
It's a leap from generative AI art to medical diagnostics. Midjourney is proposing a full-body ultrasound scanner, water-based, using a massive array of sensors and AI to create what they call MRI-like images. A bit of a pivot, yes, but still in the realm of complex image generation.
Midjourney explained, as you descend into the water, hundreds of thousands of tiny elements take turns, sending out waves, listening together, compressing, and then streaming data to a massive cluster where thousands of computers split the task. They plan to use AI to reconstruct detailed maps. For our listeners who may not know, Wiz, what exactly is an MRI?
An MRI, or magnetic resonance imaging, uses powerful magnetic fields and radio waves to create detailed images of organs and soft tissues inside the body. It's a non-invasive way to see what's happening internally. Midjourney is essentially building a water-based ultrasound system to mimic that output, which is distinct from actual MRI technology.
The company hopes to open a San Francisco scanning spa in late 2027, with 50,000 or more units deployed around the world by 2031. Midjourney added, We think it's completely possible that with enough early imaging in the future, the world could avoid 30% of all deaths and 50% of all healthcare costs.
Those are audacious claims for something not yet on the market. While the technology sounds intriguing, the could avoid language signals a lot of uncertainty. It's one thing to generate images, another to definitively impact mortality rates and healthcare costs on that scale. The timeline for deployment is equally ambitious.
Midjourney also faces a major hurdle: FDA approval. They explained, normally for every diagnostic medical capability, you need FDA approval. For listeners unfamiliar with it, Wiz, what role does the FDA play here?
The FDA, or Food and Drug Administration, is responsible for protecting public health by ensuring the safety, efficacy, and security of medical devices. For a medical imaging system like this, their approval is a critical, lengthy, and rigorous process. It's the ultimate gatekeeper for clinical use.
Beyond the technical advancements and regulatory approvals, the company fails to mention how it will store and secure those scans, whether they'll use them to train their algorithms, and how they're ensuring these algorithms get things right, when it usually takes years of human training.
That's a significant omission. Data privacy and security, especially with sensitive medical imaging, are paramount. And the question of how these AI algorithms achieve human-level diagnostic accuracy without extensive, vetted training is an open one. There's a lot of work to do there.
The ultimate success and widespread availability of this technology remain uncertain. It's still early days.
Here's the breakdown. It's Foss reported on June 17, 2026, that Canonical is bringing speech-to-text dictation to Ubuntu desktop. This move aims for an experience that feels natural, respects user privacy, and runs entirely on local hardware. Wiz, what's your initial take on this?
The headline is directionally correct. The mechanism is a local-first approach to a common modern feature. Crucially, it's about privacy and running locally, which matters.
Canonical's initial version, Mina, for Ubuntu 26.10, is a desktop dictation tool built around GNOME on Wayland with a push-to-talk mechanism. For listeners who may not know, Wiz, what is Wayland in this context?
Wayland is a display server protocol, essentially the system that handles how applications draw things on your screen and interact with input devices. It's a modern alternative to the older X.org system. As for Mina, holding a hotkey to speak and letting go means precise control over input, with a sandboxed component handling the recognition itself.
The recognition happens inside a sandboxed Canonical inference snap, and an internet connection isn't needed once the model is installed. The audio data is stored in a small in-memory buffer that's discarded when the session ends. However, features like dictation into password fields, wake words, continuous listening, voice assistance, and translation are off the table.
New information. The in-memory buffer and local-only processing underscore the privacy commitment. The current limitations are clear. This is dictation, not a full-blown voice assistant. It expands accessibility without overpromising, focusing on core functionality.
Canonical is seeking feedback before the Mina specs are finalized, especially from those who already rely on dictation or assistive tools on Linux. This initial release is a focused step, and its future evolution will likely depend on user input and further development. All right, that's our board for today's deep dive into the evolving landscape of artificial intelligence and its real-world impacts. We navigated the volatility of the US AI stock sell-off and the broader market implications, then shifted to the crucial scrutiny of scientific claims with Microsoft's quantum computing leap and the questions around data integrity. OpenAI's benchmarks for AI in life sciences showed us both promise and the significant hurdles still ahead for autonomous research. And we explored the pivot of Midjourney into body scanning, raising important ethical and privacy considerations. Finally, Canonical's new voice tool for Ubuntu highlighted the push for more private, local AI interactions. It's clear these conversations are just beginning, and we'll keep tracking the signal as these technologies mature. It's certainly a lot to consider. If we missed an angle, or you have further questions on these topics, please drop us a comment. We read them down here in the tunnel. And if this signal helped you stay informed, like or subscribe keeps the pipes humming. More surface news and deeper dives are coming through the grate soon. Until then, stay curious, and we'll catch you next time on the Low Band Show.